Welcome to this webinar. So today we'll be talking about the ultimate obstacle course. And this is a 5-series webinar, 5 sessions. And today is the 4th. So namaskar and welcome. First, review. And just keep in mind that you can ask me questions during this presentation by typing on the chat window. I see that some of you have already typed. And just keep in mind that obstacles will always be there, but obstacles are our friends and they help us. And the interesting thing is that when this course started, maybe I started noticing more the obstacles, but I've been experiencing much of what we have been talking during the class. And even during the last presentation, there were some obstacles also, and those who tried to attend it live might have had some problems. So I think maybe that the course is also being manifested in practice. Another point is that obstacles can be physical, psychophysical, psychospiritual, and spiritual. So we talked about that also in previous presentations. Now, let's see part 4. And just to remember that this ultimate obstacle course is nothing but our spiritual life. We are moving on this spiritual life and we are facing all these obstacles. Now, in our life or in the universe, there are 2 opposing forces. Every being, we can say, is moving around the supreme nucleus, the controlling point of the universe. And we can move closer to it, or we can move further. And one force brings us close, one force makes us go far. One force propels us towards spirituality, makes us move towards spirituality, while the other force hampers our movement and propels us towards further and further from the nucleus. So one force is called Vidya. Vidya force takes us towards the nucleus, and Avidya takes us far from the nucleus. So Vidya, we go close, Avidya, we go far. Now, what happens in life is like this. When we take priority, or when we choose one of the forces, the other one opposes. So if we are inclined towards Vidya, we are inclined towards spirituality, then what happens? We face obstacles. And many situations arise. For example, simple things. Maybe it is time for our meditation, and somebody say, "Oh, the dinner is ready. I cooked very special. It's warm. You have to eat now." So we think, "Oh, should I do my meditation later and eat now?" simple things like that can go on in our life. So there be so many, for example, we want to go to a program, a spiritual program, and exactly on that time, something else comes. Some other opportunity comes. Somebody invites for something else. Or one relative will say, oh, can I come and visit you at such a day? You know, so that's happens very much in the spiritual life. Or we want to meditate and somebody who is closing to us is against it. So such situations can be very common in the life of a spiritualist. And that's why we have to develop a certain determination. Let's say a kind of a non-compromising attitude. I have to do my practice. It's like an appointment you cannot miss. You know, like the most important appointment you have during the day, that's your meditation, your personal practice. And if it happens that maybe on that day you have something to do which is kind of on the time of your meditation, then you have to make effort to do it before. You may also do it later, but you have to make sure that you do it. So that kind of determination has to be there. And that's the only way we can succeed. Because if you, for example, if for one day you don't do it, it's very easy that again you will not do the next day, and then again the next day, and then it becomes a pattern. You know, that it's therefore this idea that this is the most important appointment I have during the day, I have to do it. Okay, I can do it very early or a little bit late, but I have to do it. If you are determined, then you can become immune to obstacles. That's the thing. Determination will make us immune to obstacles. We will be overcoming the obstacles. Obstacles will be coming on our way, but we'll be overcoming them sooner or later. So that this determination to keep moving, it's very important in spiritual life. Sometimes the difference between success and failure is just not to give up. You know, maybe we are feeling we are losing, but we have to continue. Here is a quote from Sri Shivanandamurti. What fear of loss there can be for those who sacrifice their all for the attainment of their goal? Sri Shivanandamurti. So Avidya. We are following the path of Vidya, we face obstacles. But if we are following the path of Avidya, we also face obstacle. It's not that there will be no obstacle. It's not that by choosing that path, everything will go easy. As an example, somebody is a thief, is going to steal for the first time. He will face lots of difficulties. Hands will be trembling, the heart will be accelerated, so many difficulties that individual will face. But after doing the first time, second time, third time, this constant cultivation of avidya will make that force strong, and that force will overcome the force of vidya, and he will not feel anymore any hesitation. So that's the situation. In the same way, if we are following the path of Vidya, if we go on overcoming all the obstacles, and practicing constant cultivation of Vidya will make that force strong, and that force will propel us over all these obstacles. Now, what is the secret here? Practice. Practice is the secret. Practice can change our mind, can change our habits, can change our body. Practice is the most important thing. So if we can dedicate time to the practice, we'll certainly move ahead. There is no other way. We may be facing obstacles, but we'll move ahead. Let's say, like the central spiritual practice is meditation. Meditation, let's say, is the most important one. The other practices are also important and they help the meditation. So if meditation is not going very well, still we keep doing, and we also improve the other practices that we have that go around the meditation practice. And eventually, meditation will become stronger. We'll get the help of Vidya, and we'll be able to overcome that obstacle. So that is the rule is, if you choose the path of Vidya, means you are going towards the nucleus, towards the supreme nucleus, then Avidya will oppose you. If you make this force that brings you to the nucleus strong, then the other force cannot oppose so much. The same is valid the opposite way. Those people who choose the path of Avidya, and if they make Avidya strong, they will move quicker to degeneration. They will become worse and worse quite quick. I will introduce two other words. So I already introduced the words Vidya, the practice or the force that takes you towards the nucleus. Avidya takes you away from the nucleus. Now, two more words in Sanskrit: Preya and Shreya. The pursuit of Avidya is Preya. It means one is directing one's mind towards the worldly pleasure. Okay, physical, material enjoyment, that is Preya. And the other one, we are directing our mind towards supreme bliss. That is the sadhana of Vidya. So, Preya related to Avidya, Shreya related to Vidya. Okay, now I ask the question, which one is natural, Preya or Shreya? I want you to type your answers on the chat window. You have a window there where you can type. Is the chat window. If you could type there. Okay, I'm getting a few answers. So which one is natural, Preya or Shreya? Okay, the answers I'm getting so far is most Preya. Okay, let okay, some people are saying both. Some people are saying the impulse for everything is Shreya and Preya is a distraction. Okay. The other, I think both are natural in a sense, both Preya. Okay. So let's think. We are human beings. What do we want? what do human beings want? Okay, let's say that we want happiness. So human beings, we want happiness. And every human being usually will want happiness. The second part of the question is how much happiness human beings want. Normally, usually, commonly, people will say always, as much as possible, all the time. It means we don't want something that ends, we want something that remains. We want something that is infinite. We don't want something that is limited. And if we want something that is infinite, it means that the natural thing for a human being to want or to work for is something infinite. That's my kind of way of thinking. So our natural is to want the infinite. But most people are directing their minds toward the limited, towards the material, towards something that they inside they know is not gonna satisfy them. So that is unnatural. That is, I can say, we are, or many people are, living an unnatural life. Because the natural life is to be a spiritualist, to want the infinite and to make efforts to attain it. The unnatural is to want the infinite but to make efforts to attain the limited. That's unnatural. That's my way of thinking. Okay, so what is wisdom? Wisdom is when we can apply judgment, discriminating judgment, and choose. So why are people living an unnatural life? Because lack of wisdom. Ignorance. It is ignorance that is taking the people towards that. But we may think, oh, but there are some people very intelligent, very studied a lot, they got degrees, PhD, and this and that, and they are pursuing the limited, the material. They may have all this, let's say, in bracket or in quotes, knowledge, but they don't have wisdom. Because if they had wisdom, they would be able to choose a natural life for human beings instead of an unnatural one. And what is the result of living an unnatural life is that one gets frustrated, maybe gets depressed, gets sad, violent, fights with the family, problems, situations. That's the unnaturalness of life. Once, somebody asked me, Dada, if I practice meditation, if I follow all these spiritual practices, what will happen to me? I thought for some time, and my answer was, you will become a normal person, a normal individual. So what's a normal individual? Somebody who is happy, who is living well, and is moving towards the supreme nucleus. It means following a spiritual way of life. So that is normal. So what is not normal? Somebody who has many problems, who has this depression. It may be common, but it's not normal. So that is wisdom. Now, we do face many obstacles. Sometimes the obstacles are from people who are close to us, people who we respect, and they are giving us obstacles. So let me put a question to you. Let me see what is the experience you have. If you can, I'm putting on your screen a question, and let's see how you have experienced it. So the question is that if you had opposition from your elders or relatives like that. Okay, I think most of you have voted. I will share the results. All right, 60% of you, yes, had a little opposition, and 40% no opposition. That's quite good. And 0% a lot of opposition. Okay, that's quite good. It means you have relatives or elders which are very understanding. Okay. Coming back to the point of wisdom. So wisdom helps us to choose from materialism to spirituality, to choose from the limited and the infinite, and to choose between Preya and Shreya. Preya towards materialism, Shreya towards spirituality. But one thing is very important in life. It is very important to maintain a certain balance. So even in this case, there needs to be a balance between Vidya and Avidya. A balance between the movements towards the Supreme Being, towards Brahma, which is Vidya, and living in the practical world. We are living in the practical world. So we have, in the past, there has been situations that people thought that they have to live their normal life, abandon everything, and maybe go to the mountains to meditate, to search for something spiritual. But what is the ideal situation? The ideal is that there should be a balance between spirituality and work in the practical world. Because imagine if so many people in the society will abandon everything and just dedicate to meditation, the society will not maintain its existence. So that's not the goal. That's not the ideal way of life. For example, even in a case like a monk like me, I abandoned many things in my, let's say, family life like this, but I didn't leave the world, and I'm utilizing my energy to serve, to do some service to the world. At the same time, I carry on my spiritual practice. And in fact, the idea of becoming a monk like me is to have more time for service to the society. So this balance between the spiritual and living in the practical world is important. So a way of life, the ideal way of life is that one is taking care of one's responsibilities to the family, to the society, and at the same time one is practicing meditation and other spiritual practices. Don't ever think that, oh yes, I will do practices when I retire. Because for practicing, we need a strong body, a strong mind. And if we wait until retirement, maybe our body is already weak, our mind is also a bit weak. We will not be able to practice We may have more time, but when we will do the practice, we will not be able to do so well. So we should not postpone it. The moment is now. It doesn't matter if I came to it when I was 15 years old or 20 years old or 60, 70 years old. That's the right time, and the time is now, not to postpone for later. So what is this balance? We can put in these words: an equitable conduct and behavior during the period of material enjoyment. What it means? Let's say it is not because we become spiritualists that we should not enjoy, for example, good food. Yes, we should enjoy good food, but at the same time, we should maintain a certain mental balance and also a certain spiritual ideation. So our conduct and behavior have to be very balanced, even when we are dealing with objects of material enjoyment. So that balance is important, and some philosophies lack emphasis on this part, on this balance. Okay, at this point, let me see, I had another question. Okay, here is another question. Let me find out more about your experiences. How many of your relatives or friends, they took to spiritual practices after they saw that you were doing it and maybe you were getting some benefit from it? Okay, I'll give a few more moments so more people can vote. Almost everybody voted, still some missing. Okay, let me close it now, share the results. All right, 40% say that none, and 60% of you said just a few. Okay, that it happens in our spiritual life. We think that, oh, I learned something so important, something that is so beneficial, and I would like all the people around me, my friends and relatives, everybody to learn. But it doesn't always work in that way. Many times the people around us are not really interested. So just a few learn, if at all. All right, okay, I hide here. All right, so now going to introduce a new idea here. We always talk about matter and we talk about energy. So what's the definition, or how to relate it? So matter resides in energy. What it means that from energy, matter gets created. What about energy? Energy resides in thought. So energy is created by mind. Mind creates energy. And energy creates matter. So energy begets matter, thought begets energy. So that's the relation. And I introduce one more aspect of consciousness, that energy is nothing but consciousness. under the bondage of the operative principle or Prakriti. Let me give you a general idea of that. For example, we human beings, okay? We human beings. What is a human being? A human being is, let's say, a technical term, a bio, psycho, spiritual machine. It means that a human being is a structure that transforms the physical into mental, and further it transforms mental into, let me use the word spiritual. Okay, so physical into mental, mental into spiritual. Physical substance becomes mental substance. Mental substance we call in our philosophy ectoplasm. So physical substance, material substance becomes ectoplasm. So that's mental, okay? And ectoplasm, which is mental, will become spiritual. So now spiritual, we call it consciousness. Let's say spiritual substance, we call it consciousness. Physical substance becomes mental substance, which is ectoplasm or mind. Ectoplasm or mind becomes consciousness, which is spiritual. So the process of meditating is the process that is transforming or stimulating the transformation of mind into spirit, of ectoplasm into consciousness. But where is the mind, where is the ectoplasm coming from? It is a transformation of the physical. So where is the physical coming from? It's coming from the food that I eat, what I drink, the air that I breathe. All this is being transformed in this human structure into mind, and then mind is being transformed into spirit or consciousness. Okay, so that process is the process that is happening in this physical, psycho, spiritual human being. All right, so it's very important to understand this, because what happens? It makes food, air, water very important, because that's the raw material. So we have to be very aware what we eat, what we drink, the air that we breathe. And of course, we have to be very aware of the thoughts that we have and all that. But now I'm more concentrating on that part. The food, who cooks the food? What's the origin of that food? Where was it cooked? All these are important things. And it will, the more we can create a subtle environment around our food, the better quality of food we'll have, that it will easily transform into ectoplasm, and ectoplasm into consciousness. So it helps very much a spiritual life to have the right food. Then practice. It's a process of transformation. So we are transforming mind into consciousness, ectoplasm into consciousness. We need to practice, and we need to give some time for it, because if you just do a little bit, it helps. But if you get a little bit more time, it means you are processing more, you are transforming more, you are creating a flow. If you can keep your mind on a spiritual flow, then there is a constant transformation. So it means that is spiritual is let's say that consciousness is becoming predominant in your human structure, and that's very important, and that the experience of consciousness is the experience of bliss. It is the experience that we are looking for. Now, if we are constantly transforming in our mind ectoplasm into consciousness, then we are always on a kind of feeling, experiencing that spiritual flow. And that makes life much easier, much more enjoyable. And that is the path of bliss. That's the movement towards bliss, towards more and more bliss. So the goal is consciousness. The goal is this transformation from physical to mental, mental to spiritual. That's the goal. So at the same time, we are maintaining a balance in our individual life, in our social life, in our work life, in our relationships. It's everything is important. Okay. And in this whole process, how do we know we are progressing? How do we know we are moving forward? Usually the signs on the road are the struggles that we get. So we are struggling. We are dedicated, we are sincere, we are practicing, we are concentrated, and we are facing obstacles. Maybe in our work, situations are coming, maybe with our relatives, our family, situations are coming. But that's, if you are keeping your practices strong, this struggle is a sign that you're progressing. Things are going well. There is some progress. And that is the whole idea of this course. Without obstacles, there is no progress. And I come back to that example that you want to make your arm strong. You may do exercises, you can move it, and doing exercise. If you add a weight, the exercise will be more effective and your muscle will grow more, you will become stronger. So the weight is the obstacle. But if it's too heavy that you cannot even move the arm, it doesn't help. If it's too light, that it also doesn't help. So it's on the right degree. If we are on a spiritual path, under the guidance of a good teacher, of a great guru, that means that the guru is giving us the right obstacle. In the same way that a good trainer, a good physical trainer will give you the right weight. And when you become stronger, will increase the weight. So in the same way, the spiritual guru does like that. Will give you some obstacle. As you are stronger, you can overcome that obstacle. Will give you a little bit bigger obstacle. And you can overcome that obstacle, maybe a little bit bigger one. And what is on our side, just understand that the obstacle will never be greater than our capacity to overcome it. So if we have a few rules, a few principles that we keep, then we will not feel discouraged. One comment here, but even if you don't have a spiritual practice, there will be struggle. Yes, there will be struggle because you'll be moving on the other direction, so there will be struggle also. So in any way there will be struggle, but there are some people that life is very calm, nothing's happening, everything is just normal, every day is like a repetition of the previous day. So that's also there. But my point here is, for example, suppose you decide to do meditation, okay? Then there will be always some opportunity for not doing it. Now that is the obstacle that you have to overcome. That you have to think that, no, yeah, I have to continue. I cannot stop. Okay. I'm coming to the end of the presentation. Just like a review. The process of Tantra. We are following this process of Tantra. So in this process, let's say this is the spiritual path. So what is the spiritual path? The spiritual path is raising the Kula Kundalini from the lowest chakra to the highest chakra. So it's an awareness, spiritual awareness, which is sleeping on the lowest chakra. It means that it's on the material level. And as we raise this spiritual awareness, this Kula Kundalini, we'll feel closer and closer to a spiritual goal. Now, mind has different propensities, which take us out in different directions. For example, I'm moving towards my spiritual goal, and maybe fear will take me in one direction, or greed will take me another direction, pride will take me another direction. And all these are propensities. So it's very important that keep the ideation so that the mind doesn't go towards these propensities. And we are moving, overcoming obstacles. So that's the process of Tantra. A summary of what we saw today. We talked about knowledge. We talked about wisdom. That wisdom is what helps us to choose our path, to choose the movement, to choose the direction. Knowledge is very important because it's ignorance that takes people in the wrong direction. Why people go towards just material enjoyment, why they don't search spirituality, it's just ignorance. They have not become aware that material objects will never satisfy them. They are just trying to get their satisfaction from material objects. So they need new, more, but still they can't reach. The other point, Dharma sadhana. Dharma sadhana is very important. The sadhana means effort, practice. Dharma, our nature. So what is our nature? To search for the infinite, to search for the supreme consciousness. So the effort to reach the infinite, that's the Dharma sadhana. And in our movement, we concentrate on the supreme. We take the help of Vidya, but we don't ignore Avidya. We maintain a balance. Concentrate on the Supreme, but maintain a balance on our daily life, on our work life, family life, relationships, all that. Okay. Now, let's see if you have some questions, comments. Okay. Have a quote here. Evil is to be defeated. Let there be a fight for the world to see and learn this lesson. Okay, anyway, is that we are always, if we take Vidya, we have to fight Avidya. Okay, there's another comment. This perplexes me slightly in regard to the peace of mind one is to keep. Okay, the thing is that peace of mind will come as a result. All right, and sometimes when you meditate, when you practice, you may feel your mind very disturbed, very distracted. Maybe even in your daily life you will feel that. But certain moments when you pause and you can go a little bit deep, you will feel peace of mind. That's the result of sadhana, effort. You are constantly doing effort. So sometimes you really experience a very deep peace inside. Okay. I don't see any more questions. If there is any comment or any question, otherwise we can end the presentation. Just to keep in contact, we have our webpage, pathofbliss.com. I have a webpage, dadas.info. I'm still developing it. We do have a Facebook page, facebook.com/POB, means Path of Bliss, POB meditation. And we do have a Facebook group. You can post questions, comments. It's facebook.com groups Path Bliss, only Path Bliss. And thank you for participating in this presentation, and keep on facing your daily obstacles and without feeling discouraged, and just understand that the philosophical point is that obstacles are our friends. So the obstacles we are facing, they are helping us. They are our friends. They are helping us to move ahead and to progress. And there is one question here, somebody saying, Dada, after years of sadhana, how strong is your focus? It's difficult to measure in that sense. I would say one in spiritual path. Spiritual path is the movement towards the supreme bliss, towards the supreme entity. So what we could say is, like, in the same way that you move towards the fire, as you move it gets warmer, in the same way as you move towards that supreme bliss, every time it gets a bit more blissful. But just keep in mind that there is a difference between bliss and being always happy and like that. Bliss is something deep within, and that is what motivates one to go ahead. Okay, so have a good week and thank you. Namaskar.